online broadcast network, AfterBuzzTV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzzTV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We are back in the studio, second time this week.
In 1 week?
Yes.
In 1 week. That's amazing.
Didn't miss us too much over the last 2 days. But if you're tuning into AfterBuzzTV.com or YouTube now on the AfterBuzz TV channel, this is the Amazing Race After Show for season 26. I'm your host, James Wallington, and with me across the table is...
Hey guys, I'm Jessica Carroll, and...
Hey everybody, I'm Justin Nichols.
The 3 J's are back, and Amazing Race is back, and we could not be more excited.
And maybe I'm a little slow, I'm not great on technology, but you can always watch us live on the website, AfterBuzzTV.com. But I've just been hearing now that you can also go right to YouTube, that's what you were saying, and it's live on YouTube, James?
It is, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV.
So now you can just, as it goes, oh gosh, I have to really start watching what I say.
And there's even a live chat, so you can comment as we're up here right now live.
Then I think next time I should bring my laptop so we have access to that. But in the meantime, if you're watching live and you want to get in on the conversation, Justin, where can they tweet you?
You can find me on Twitter at Justin J. Nichols.
And Jess?
You can find me at DressJessXO.
And I'm at James Wallington. So if you're watching live, tweet us some questions because we'll be sure to answer them right now live over the next 45 minutes or so for our show. So last night was the kickoff episode for season 26, episode 1. Great way to start a relationship. And as we all know, as we discussed on our pre-show, this is the first time they've ever incorporated the blind date element. A lot of fans had mixed feelings before the show even aired. I gotta say, it delivered, and I am actually pleasantly surprised by the twist of the blind dates. It definitely brings a different element to the show, and it makes it rather entertaining. What do you guys think?
I loved the twist. It sucks you in, and it makes you not only invested in the race, but also invested in now what's going to happen with the relationships, and you know, who's going to be better, the blind dates or the couples that have been dating for a while.
Yeah. I loved, and then loved this episode and the twist. I mean, I love the race, but to have, you're rooting for them, you're rooting for 2 reasons now. Because not only are you rooting for them to do well in the race, but now I'm rooting, is there chemistry with them?
Right.
Is it going to work out between them? Or how it was last night where, ooh, that's not going to work out. Like, I just added a whole new level to the race, and I gotta say, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it too, and it looks like a lot of our viewers loved it as well. We did wake up today to a lot of notifications on Twitter with you guys asking us questions, so we'll make sure to dive into some of those later on as we recap the episode. But a big shout out to Tennessee and Hale, and a new viewer, it looks like, at X Sunset Rusher X. We will get to your questions as we go through the recap.
Can't wait.
So starting at the starting line, you know, there's a sponsor again this season. It's the Ford Fusion Hybrid, which Phil makes sure to mention. And he also announces that there's an express pass, which we've seen in previous seasons, but for the first time, there is a U-turn on the first leg, which I was like, whoa.
And a blind U-turn.
A blind
Which was
Right,
great.
so you didn't know when it was going to be. It was
And
crazy.
you know who was, because normally you know, okay, they U-turn me because you put your foot up there as well.
Right.
I loved it this time because you could U-turn someone and you could totally lie about it. No one would know.
No idea,
Exactly.
So we see the 6 pairs, already, you know, pre-existing relationships, and then the 5 individuals, and then that's when the other 5 individuals just come running around the hill, and they're like, yay, like really excited. It seemed like they were all really excited to be there. I was watching it last night with my boyfriend, and he's like, dude, these people really think they're gonna find love on The Amazing Race. I'm a lot of them really think they're more focused on the relationship aspect than the $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a chance they could date after this for a while.
True.
Maybe I'm naive, but I think there's a chance.
No.
I'm rooting for love.
Okay, maybe they could date, but some people are like, oh, my soulmate, this is the man I've always dreamed about. It's like...
Some people, you mean maybe Haley?
Yeah, Haley. Sorry. Okay, this
Basically
girl,
Haley.
I mean, she's a character. She's a character, to say the least.
Yeah. But I mean, I liked it, and I don't know. But what was surprising though was there for our predictions. A couple days ago, there were some couples I thought were going to be instant chemistry, and then some couples I thought would not work at all. And it kind of was the opposite. Even from when they were racing around the corner, they met each other. One of the couples I was surprised about how well they seemed to get along, even though they had huge personalities, was the showgirl.
Yeah, my team.
Yeah, your team, Jackie and Jeff. They just right away, she jumped right on him. He seemed to be into it. They got along pretty well along the race. I was like, I thought that was going to be a disaster. And that one turned out maybe to be okay.
Yeah. And I know that both of you guys thought Haley and Blair would hit it off.
I loved the idea of those two.
And from the very get-go, I said that there's two perfectionists, control freaks. They're not going to mesh well, and clearly...
Here's the deal. I still have hope for Blair and Haley.
Okay.
If anything, to me, they're one of the most interesting blind date couples we have on the show that I think are hilarious. Maybe more so Haley than Blair, but they're going to bring some entertainment value to this season.
All right, so out of all of the blind couples, who do you think could be the number one who's actually going to date afterwards?
Tyler and Laura.
Jenny and Jelani.
I think Jenny and Jelani.
Mm-hmm. But I think they're bi-coastal, which I think is a part of the problem. Isn't she on the West Coast? He's on the East Coast, which I think that could be an issue. I'm telling you, my team, Tyler and Laura, they got along, and they both live in Los Angeles.
I agree. I think those two have the most potential. I didn't think about it if you were thinking of geographical, but...
There you go.
And she definitely made it very clear that she thinks Tyler is hot. I agree. I agree 100%. But if I could have come up with a hashtag for them, it would be Team Attractive. Yeah. They are very, very good looking.
And they're what, Team SoCal?
And they're fun.
So let's talk about our first question. Of course, it's Allie at Tennessee and Hale on Twitter. She asked, which is, at the start of this episode, what did you guys think of the teams having to go through an obstacle course? We haven't seen that really done before. Mm-hmm. I loved it.
I loved it too because it's a lot. It shows your teamwork too.
Yep.
You want to encourage your partner, and we really saw who's going to encourage their partner when they're a little slacking or they need a little help getting out of the mud. So I liked it. We really saw who's going to work well as a team right off the bat.
I wish that they would have done this for previous seasons, and I hope they do it again in the future. Because you're right. Right off the bat, you see who's willing to get down and dirty to win this race.
Right.
And I was really surprised by some teams. And that's when I immediately started feeling bad for Blair. Because Haley was just like, I hate the mud. I cannot do this. Then she was mad at him. She was like, why are you going so far ahead of me? It is a race for $1 million. Move, girl. Move.
Seriously.
It was a great way to start the episode, though. Just very exciting. And it was really dirty.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a half,
Honestly, I love Call Me Dirty Girl. I love getting down and dirty. So I would have been all about this mud run. I've actually done a mud run before. Have you ever done one?
Hell no.
Yeah.
I would do it.
The whole time I was watching this obstacle course, I was like, oh, Justin would be hating this. James, I think you would be down. Justin,
I'd be all about it.
No, I could see Justin and Haley being right there next to each
So what's going to happen is we're going to look for a mud run sometime from this point till the end of the season. Going to do it. Bring AfterBuzz with us.
Let's see how Justin does.
I'm glad that I can just be the butt of all your guys' jokes. All right, how bad would I do on The Amazing Race? Hilarious.
So, for those of you who are just tuning in, we were talking about last night about how teams had to first complete a mud run, and at the end of the obstacle course, there were 2 flight options to their first destination, Tokyo, Japan. Mm-hmm. There were 8 tickets on the first flight, 3 tickets on the second flight. I loved Bergen's reaction when he jumped into the cold water. It looked like it really took him by surprise, and his face, it needs to be made into a GIF.
Yeah.
It was just over and over. I had to rewind it. It was just too funny.
So funny.
Well, we found out that Bergen does listen to the after show, so I hope that maybe he has created a GIF, or maybe someone sent him one already. If there is one, Bergen, send it to us. We want to see it.
Or if there's a viewer who's good at making GIFs, feel free to tweet it to us.
Yeah.
That'll be the GIF of episode 1.
We want to see Bergen jumping into the ice water.
Although, my face would probably look the exact same. Me and ice cold water don't get along.
Oh, where was Miss Tough? I can do this obstacle course 5 seconds ago.
Hey, Mud and I, we get along.
Mud's one thing.
Yeah.
Particular.
Freezing cold. Oh, shit.
And I love how Allie, I don't know if you saw this tweet, Justin, she goes, Justin, it was 5 minutes in, and then we already saw Ford. Because, every season we
And then she said drink, because I have a drinking game where every time they say Ford Focus, you drink.
Drink.
I would have been hammered.
So we've kind of learned a little bit about the teams. The one thing that really stuck out to me in the first opening sequence is that Mike and Rochelle from the team from Kalkaska, Michigan, they met at a truck stop.
Yeah.
So, Team Truck Stop Love. I love that hashtag. It's really one of my favorites this season. So going through the obstacle course, the eight teams that get on flight 1 are Matt and Ashley, Jeff and Jackie, Laura and Tyler, Allie and Steve, Harley and Jonathan, Jeff and Lyda, Kurt and Bergen, Jelani and Jenny, and then in flight 2, Blair and Haley, Mike and Rochelle, and Libby and CJ. I have to say, it was so neck and neck with Blair and Haley and Jelani and Jenny that all I kept thinking was, okay, Blair, the team is still a little bit behind Haley. And the only thing that Haley's struggling with is getting over that last obstacle. Yeah. And you just stand there. I would have grabbed my partner, helped swing them over, and then run with them to that flight. It would probably made a world of a difference for them getting on the first flight. Do you agree?
For sure. They probably would have been on the first flight.
Because he didn't seem to really support her like the other blind date couples.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I just think that, how she started out so poorly that I think he was just going as hard as he could, not used to, of course, being the two of them together, and then he just looked back and was like, dear God, she's like a mile back. I better just keep going. I don't know. She was so annoying during the obstacle course. I was just like, I would leave her too.
She kind of has this nervous laugh that she laughs whenever she's nervous, and I think he's actually a little intimidated by her.
I can see that because she's a very strong personality.
Yeah, and so I think that he was just kind of just not really sure how to react around her and what to okay, do I help her? Do I encourage her? Just didn't know how to.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you though, and they were so close to getting the key. That's what was so frustrating. Is that then it was almost like she was like, "Oh, go ahead," because then they all were running together, and then she just kind of let the couple from Alabama just be like, "Okay, you can take it, no big deal."
Yeah.
Come on, girl.
To keep with the theme of a great way to start a relationship, the episode title, the teams were immediately thrown into a shower together before taking off to Tokyo. And
once again,
when Laura's like, ooh, my partner Tyler is some man candy. And I was like, girl, you're right.
Oh, man.
So the route marker, once they get into their Ford Fusion hybrids, is that they have to fly to Tokyo. When they land, they are told to head to Kanata Shrine for their next clue. Caution, blind U-turn ahead.
Which, honestly, okay, so I'm loving the twist because there was such awkward car chatter going on when they got in that Ford.
Yeah, right.
That was the first time they actually could ask questions, their age, what they do. And I don't know about you guys, but I was like, oh man, this is awkward.
Yeah.
Well, what I loved about seeing, because for a while I was like, well, they're only showing the blind date couples get from the first leg of this leg to the airport. Is they're only featuring the blind date couples. So I'm like, where is the development with the teams that already have existing relationships? But this is an element of the show that I've missed from earlier seasons, is that we're seeing this conversation, getting to know them as individuals.
Yeah. Character development.
And that's what I love. Because usually if it's just the pre-existing relationships going to the airport, it's more like, okay, you have to turn left, go here, asking for directions, where they're forced to get to know each other before going abroad together. So we find out that, Haley and Blair start talking about, how old are you? And she's like, 35. And he's like, no, not at all. Which, this is also when their conversation in their car going to the airport is the first time we see a new element to this season, is this selfie cams.
What do you guys think of it?
I kind of enjoy it.
I enjoyed it. The person I watched it with hated it.
Really?
They did not even want to watch anymore because of that selfie cam. I thought it was fun.
See, okay, I watched it with someone too, and this person hates selfies. And he hates selfies even more when you're watching someone take a selfie. So he just hated the entire selfie cam idea. Me, on the other hand, loved it. I loved seeing their captures. Some of them were even, some of the pictures were even tweeted out during the episode. And it's a great way to document. And of course, selfies are trending right now. So I actually like this new aspect of the show.
I thought it was a good idea. Also, the network is constantly trying to get younger and stay up with time. So you know what? Just do it.
Right.
Everyone is doing it anyway.
And it's funny to see what teams really use their selfie cam and then what teams just didn't even pull it out.
Tyler and Laura loved it.
Selfie cam.
I put hashtag selfie team.
Yeah, for
As
sure.
a fan of the race and reality television as a whole, the one thing that I really loved about the selfie cam is that it kind of takes a second away from the production value and really dives into the reality aspect of what I think a real show should be.
Yeah.
And that's from their perspective, and that's them not really putting on a show. I feel like it's like, hey, I'm talking into this camera and this camera alone.
Right.
Yeah.
This is my surrounding. And I think it's also a fun way for the teams that are racing to then have these memories later on.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I wonder how much we'll see it as the race goes forward,
Right.
but it's just a new little thing to throw in there.
I liked it.
And that's another thing is with this twist, because they're all dating teams or blind dates, it's such a young group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's so young, you know, unfortunately, the oldest team did get sent home last night. So now it's a really young cast.
Yeah.
It is. Except for Jeff and Lyda.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they went home.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to breeze through some of these Twitter comments to make sure that we answered any questions that had to do with this first, 15 minutes of the show. But I feel like we
did well.
And one more thing that was mentioned in the beginning was the fact that Rochelle has a son and Mike has never met him.
Yeah.
And that really stuck out to me.
I'm so glad you brought up that is the question I just read from Allie. She asked the same thing.
Well, yeah,
What
so
did you think of it?
I mean, that's a kind of a red flag to me. I mean,
Why so?
Because let's just say I had a son and I was dating someone, I would want that, especially after how they've been dating, 8 months? Like after 8 months, it's about time that you meet the person, your son, it's like part of you.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a major factor on the race.
No,
but
I don't think so
it was
either.
interesting though.
But they say that they really know each other, this and that. But if you really know someone, you need to know their child.
Yeah, fair point.
So that just stuck out to me, and I was really impressed by it.
I want to give a quick shout out. I actually have the live YouTube stream up on my phone right now. We have some people already commenting, and we actually have 18 watching. So the 18 of you that are watching, hi from the AfterBuzz TV studio. So we have, I want to say Tessa May, and then Mr. Air Sonic is watching live right now.
Got it.
He said, after watching the first episode, I really don't like Blair and Haley, and I don't...
Agreed.
Oh, he goes, I really don't think Blair and Haley are going to work out, which is unfortunate because I was rooting for them. I feel like instead of remembering one Saki, they should have remembered all 10. That's what I thought was going to happen, but apparently not.
Totally agree.
So let's just start diving into...
Let's get into
it. In Tokyo. Oh, one more thing that I love about this, again, as a fan from the very beginning, is we saw some interaction at the airports. We got to see the teams really start to develop relationships. Haley being super cute, like, oh, this is our first dinner date at the food court.
Yeah, how romantic.
And were you surprised how Jonathan just flat out came out already that he was a singer?
No, not surprised at all.
Yeah, and you could definitely tell that he was like fishing for someone to ask him a little bit, where he was like, "What do you do? Oh, what do I do? Oh, I was like, come on, man." And I thought it was funny that no one knew who he was.
Yeah.
No one recognized him.
No one recognized him from of the racers.
The name is recognizable, but his face himself, not so much. So
But once he started singing the songs that he sang or whatever, Haley knew right away that was New Kids on the Block.
She was like, "I've seen you. That
I've
was
been to your
cool."
concert.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
Alrighty, so going on to Tokyo. Once the teams land, the first flight lands, and you kind of see all the different teams scatter, taking different forms of transportation to the Ganda Shrine. Two teams take a taxi, Jenny and Jelani and Jeff and Jackie, and then we have two different trains that look like going to the same place. One train is carrying Bergen and Kurt and Jeff and Lyda. The other one is taking Harley and Jonathan, Allie and Steve, Tyler and Laura, and Matt and Ashley. The second flight lands, and we see Libby and CJ take a taxi, and then Haley, Blair, Mike and Michelle take a train, but Haley and Blair miss the first train. Already off to a great start.
Right? First date's just going fabulous.
What do you guys think you would have done? Like, the moment you landed in Tokyo, not really knowing your surroundings.
I would have done taxi.
And I would have done just the opposite.
Really?
I just feel like I've never been to Japan, but I've been to other like major metropolis areas, and I feel like anytime you can take a train, do it, because traffic in these places will kill you.
Yeah.
Time after time, taxis are so unreliable. They get lost. A train doesn't get lost. So
Right.
I would just take the train, avoid the traffic.
I guess
get off the right stuff.
I guess on my part, trains just scare me, and I just never know when to get off the train. So if I could just
And
tell it's
obviously the other teams didn't either.
Yeah, so if I could just tell a taxi driver, like, okay, I'm going here, take me here, then it's in his hands, and I don't need to figure out when to get off a train.
So just never travel with CJ and Lebia, because they could never get off the train at the right time either. So, yeah, you guys should just stay away from each other. But, yeah, what about you, James?
I've actually been to Tokyo, so I was so excited when the teams went there first, but I'm like you, Justin. I would have gone straight to find out what kind of train can get me closest to the shrine, and then if need be, take a taxi from there.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually, the train is really not that hard to figure out. Sure, the people are very overwhelming because there's so much going on, a lot of foot traffic, but I thought it was probably much easier to figure out than New York City, and I was just in New York for 10 days and I was stressed out. So the teams have their first detour on this leg of the race, and it's Sinking Steps versus Samurai Saki. I liked both of them because I feel like that really kind of gave a little taste of Tokyo and Japan. What did you guys think of these detours? Which one would you have done?
So right off the bat, just hearing the clues, I would have done the Sinking Chefs.
Steps. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, there are no chefs sinking.
Yeah, sorry. The Sinking Steps. Because dance, I love dance. I can pick up moves easy. Choreography, that's a no-brainer. Plus, memorizing is not my expertise, so I would have done that one. But after looking at them, I probably would have switched my mind.
Yeah, no, anything to do with booze over being physical, of course I'm going to choose the booze. So I would have chosen to do the thing, and just it would have been just totally pure luck that it was the way easier one. I love they chose the Sinking Steps because maybe I'm just sheltered. I had not seen this form of dance, but it's all the rage. I thought it was awesome. I was so amazed by how they were doing it. My only critique is I agree with our comment saying that you shouldn't have, if you did the drinking one with the alcohol, you should have had to ask, after you got the first one, you should have asked the next person at the table what they wanted, go back, get the different sake, bring it back. It was so much easier than the Sinking Steps. It was just too much so.
Well, I thought the same thing. A lot of the comments that I was reading, like we just read, was that I thought they had to memorize all 10.
I thought they would have to like say them back through.
Right.
And then go to the table, pick the one.
Or pick one table of 4 people and then do 4
Yeah,
sides.
because there were 10 bottles, so you could just, if you got it wrong, you could have just done it 10 times so you got out of elimination, and it's still taking just a few minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculously easy.
It was so easy.
But hey, that's the name of the game with the Amazing Race.
But you know what? Maybe the Sinking Steps wasn't actually that hard. We just have a group of
really uncoordinated
people. You know,
4 hours it took one of the teams.
Like, that's sad. I started getting up and doing it, and I think I could have done it just by watching the little pieces.
Why didn't you videotape that?
We could have played it right here.
I would have paid so much money to see Jess doing the Sinking Steps in their living room.
I was like totally doing it.
That's so good. I'm
If you're
obsessed.
listening in your car right now, you're missing out because Jess is demonstrating for us on the show.
I like it.
Well done.
Yeah.
I love it.
You guys missed my dance routine last night.
For those of you who need a little refresher of the detours last night, the detours gave them a choice between Sinking Steps and Samurai Saki. And Sinking Steps teams went to Shinjuku Central Park, where they had to perform a series of synchronized dance of robotic moves along with members of World Order. When a judge was satisfied with their performance, teams would receive their next clue. In Samurai Saki, teams made their way to Nakano Saku Station Tavern.
Sure.
Teams were shown 10 bottles of sake. They list all 10, which I'm surprised because I didn't catch any of them. One team member had to take an order for one brand of sake from a table of samurais. Their teammate then had to find the correct bottle from the bar from a large display. Once they presented the correct bottle to the samurais and took a toast, they received their next clue.
Correct.
I think right off the bat, I saw a question that we were tweeted. I don't remember exactly who it was. I'll try to find it. But they said, why did nobody switch detours? And I have to say, for this first one, I probably would have. Had I been at the Sinking Steps and seen how everyone was struggling and you have to wait for the next team, I would have been like, screw it. Saki might be a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I would have head to the other detour. Because with 8 of the teams, or 9 of the teams really at one detour, it's just a big waiting game.
Yeah.
And I normally agree. I think it's a waste of time to switch detours sometimes. However, this time, it was clear that there were a few individuals that just didn't have it in their DNA to do this.
It's also too
CJ
early,
came to mind. Whereas, like, for some of these racers, you could tell right away that they're not picking up quickly. At that, I mean, if you were, like, all doing pretty good, I'd say stick with it. But there were a few of them I was like, you clearly cannot do this. Just switch now.
Right. I mean, Jeff and Lyda, I think they honestly did it 24 times or something.
Yeah.
Over 4 hours.
He clearly was really struggling.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they saw everyone else struggling, and I mean, they're both very intelligent people. I thought that they would have switched detours earlier because they were even mentioning you doing a fast forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, why would you do a fast forward before you even switched and do the other detour?
Yeah.
So I was surprised that they didn't switch earlier.
Yeah, it's like, why not switch the detour before taking a penalty?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that actually was a question from X Sunset Rusher X. So hi, shout out to you because I know you're watching live right now.
up?
Good question. So once the teams completed their detours, they got route info that was told to travel to Wakaba Higashi Park and follow the path for the blind U-turn. Dun, dun, dun. So obviously every season we see a lot of strategy go into the U-turn. Why people choose to use it, why people choose not to use it. And what's interesting about this season is, of course, it's the first leg. So it's a little too early to ruffle feathers with any team, especially if you're going to be traveling around the world with them over the next month. A lot of the teams refuse to do it, which I probably would have done the same. However, Rochelle and Mike, who were very clearly ahead of other teams. I mean, if you're at the Sinking Steps detour and there's other teams waiting for you and you
There was
leave.
only
There's
one.
only one.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, they were.
It was Jeff and Lyda. They were the last team.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
come to find out, other teams had gotten lost from the Sinking Steps to find
That's
the
why
double
Mike and
U-turn.
Rochelle were ahead.
Yes, but however, though, they were the second to last team to leave.
Got it.
And they were just worried that in case maybe they were catching up fast. I get what they were saying.
Yeah, I
really
do too.
Now that I think I was just so busy taking notes on the whole detour portion that
In their
that would
mind,
make sense. to
in
me.
their mind,
Yeah.
they were second to last.
Yes.
Right. And so that makes sense.
To do Jeff and Lyda.
Part of me really wanted people to U-turn because I just want those villains to come out.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, oh, you pussies.
But
I understand why no one did U-turn anyone because it's so early in the game and they knew they were
Yeah,
at the
but it's a
top.
blind U-turn. I mean, so no one would even know who U-turned who.
Yeah.
That's why I was surprised that maybe some of them didn't. I also felt very bad for Levia and CJ. So when they got there, they knew that there was maybe one team still out there because of how many clues were in the box. So they had to guess who to U-turn.
Right.
And they guessed wrong, but if they would have guessed, or maybe I'm saying this wrong, Jeff and Lyda they U-turned someone because they thought there was a chance that they could still win. They just chose the wrong couple to U-turn.
Yeah.
Wrong couple.
Yeah, they had to guess who was behind them. They didn't know.
If they did choose.
Had they chosen correctly out of pure luck, I think the outcome would have been different.
Right. For sure. 'Cause
I would have picked, if I were Jeff and Lyda, just out of sheer chance and luck, I would have probably picked someone who was relatively near me leaving. Because I feel like Jeff and Jackie had left long before they left the detour.
Well, Jeff and Jackie didn't even do their detour. They did the other two detours.
one. So
Yeah.
it's like, why would you pick someone you hadn't seen?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense to me, but
They gave it a shot.
I'm trying to catch up with. We're getting more comments on our live YouTube. Before we head on to the last half of this episode, we love that you guys are interacting with us, and we love that we have now 21 21 watching us live on YouTube.
We are. Watch out, Kim
We're going up
Kardashian.
in the
We are
world.
shutting down the internet as well.
So if you guys are watching right now live, what I want you to do is go to iTunes, make sure you give us 5 stars, leave a comment, give us a little review of why you love our after show, and then after you do that, subscribe to this channel and give us a thumbs up. Because of you guys, we love to come back every season, interact, hear what you guys have to say, because we're not the only super fans in the world of Amazing Race. So you
Right.
guys obviously love it too.
Here's what I also want to know, and of course for our live listeners right now, but also if you're watching this later on YouTube or on the website, I'm getting a lot of hashtag Team James and Jessica's.
Yes.
Is there anyone out there on Team Justin? I think I have great racers. I really do. So anyone listening right now, James is looking at the comments. Is anyone out there on Team Justin? If so, just do hashtag Justin or whatever you want to do. Let me know at least I have one fan out there.
Yes, let us
One.
know what team. Join our Team Fantasy game. It's actually really fun. It gets you even more into Amazing Race. So let us know what team you guys are on. And it's the best
Yeah. Well. So, James, what happens after they do the blind U-turn?
So after they make a decision whether they are or aren't going to use the blind U-turn, they get their next route marker, and that is to leading them to the pit stop. Already, like, episode went
so fast.
so fast. We see Jenny and Jaylani are kind of leading the pack, but it's kind of neck and neck with Jeff and Jackie. You don't know who's going to show up to the pit stop first. The route info said travel to Akihabara UDX building and search the vicinity. I think the keyword in the hashtag of the first episode should be vicinity of the parking space grounds for their first pit stop. So these two teams, one's inside, one's outside, and this is why I love Jenny and Jaylani. They're so smart to really kind of analyze the clue and figure out the keyword. And that was vicinity. So they immediately knew, okay, it's going to be on the outside, the grounds of this parking structure.
Well, you know, as two lawyers, they read contracts and they need to study every single word. And so obviously they're going to study the clue, and that team's going to go far.
Whose team are they on?
They are on my team.
That's a good pick, James.
They're one of the blind ones that I drew. So I got lucky.
You guys both got good blind ones.
Yeah, you got Tyler and Laura. So we have Jenny and Jaylani in first place, which means they are granted the Express Pass, which thank God they're on my fantasy team. Second place, Jeff and Jackie. Third place, Tyler and Laura. So already 3 teams that have checked into the first pit stop are blind date teams.
And all 3 of us got a team in the top 3.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for our fantasy teams.
Then in fourth place, the first pre-existing relationship team to check in is Allie and Steve in fourth place. Fifth place, we have Harley and Jonathan. Sixth place, Bergen and Kurt. Seventh, Mike and Rochelle. Eighth place, Haley and Blair. Not too bad. Ninth place, Matt and Ashley. 10th place, Libby and CJ. And then sadly, the team that was eliminated in this first episode is Jeff and Lyda, who is a member of Team Jessica.
Sad.
But people are still on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, the thing that I was really surprised with the couple that I thought did a fantastic job, Bergen and Kurt.
Yes.
During their predictions a couple days ago, I thought that they were so not going to be a match that they wouldn't even be able to work together well as friends or a team. And whether they have a relationship or not, they are great working together. And they seem to have a lot of laughs along the way. So I really think that all 3 of us may have had a lapse of judgment on that team.
I like that.
They could be the team that I totally underestimated.
I like them so much that I tried to recruit them onto my team.
They did.
No,
Justin won't let me.
Totally not fair.
As of right now, before we dive into predictions, actually, let's just dive right into predictions.
Okay.
What are you going to say, James?
I love
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, what I was going to say is we saw a lot of teams. A lot of them got, I would say, fairly good airtime. It was pretty even. One team that I think that I'm already in love with, that I wish was on my fantasy team, is Harley and Jonathan. I don't feel like we really talked about them much on this after show, but I feel like they're a power couple.
Yep.
And the way they complement one another, it's just
great teamwork.
Adorable.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially because he talked about how he has issues with anxiety, and I do too. So seeing Harley be able to balance him out like that, I don't know. I think they're a really cute couple and they could go really far.
I love them too, and I think that this Amazing Race journey is really going to bond the two of them together.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so before we dive into predictions, because predictions kind of play into our fantasy points, if you are playing at home and you're on one of our teams, I'm going to tell you really quick what the breakdowns of the points are so you can follow along. Because Allie, our social media correspondent, is really active with us on Twitter, and we want all of you guys to be too. So if one of our teams gets first place, you get 5 points. Second place, 4 points. Third place, 3 points. Then if your team gets 4th to 7th place, you get 2, and then anyone under that is 1. Okay. And then if you're last place, you don't get any points.
And you say bye-bye to your team.
But every week we get bonus points, and that's if you guess your people correctly who does the roadblock, who gets first place, and who gets last place. But this week, no one did a roadblock, so there's no bonus points. And none of us guessed first or last place right. So none of us get bonus points.
Shocker.
So based on the points alone on placements, I have 8 points, and then Jessica and Justin both have 6. So it's a lot closer already than it was last season.
And I lost a team already.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
It's okay.
Because you have Jelani and Jenny. That is going to be your point rack-rapper.
Okay, so Justin, who on your team is doing the roadblock?
Oh, I have to say who's going to do in the roadblock.
Who's doing the roadblock? Who's getting first and who's getting last?
On my teams, I'm still going to say Tyler's going to do the roadblock, Matt is going to do the roadblock, and John Harley's going to do the roadblock.
Alrighty, who's first and who's last?
Getting first, I'm going to say Jelani and Jenny again.
Nice.
All right. And getting last, I did not think they raced a good first leg. They seemed lost and clueless what to do. Sorry, Libya and CJ.
I agree. And you know, it's funny for everyone who's watching at home, when I had sent out an email for all of us to do our picks, we all said Libby and CJ. So
Yeah. It just seemed like even the simplest of challenges of finding a train, they're just so...
Even this episode, they didn't seem their head was in the game.
No, and like they would talk to cab drivers like they were still in the United States. And she'd be like, do you understand me? And I'm like, no, they don't. They're in Tokyo. So let's try to find a different way to communicate with them, because you just yelling at them louder is not a good approach to this race.
And like you said, Jess, her head is not in the game or their head, because I think her head's more focused on a wedding ring.
They get that ring on it. Yeah. So that's my predictions. What do you think?
All right, Jess?
Okay, I think for the roadblock, I only have to pick two. So I think Allie's gonna do it, and maybe Jeff.
Okay.
And then are we picking the wild cards?
Oh yeah, the wild cards. I forgot. Good point.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Bergen and CJ.
Okay.
And then first place, I'm gonna say.
And while she's thinking about that, James, I will do Bergen and CJ as well for the wild cards, who I think is going to do the detour.
Great.
I think I'm gonna say Jelani and Jenny too.
Okay.
And then for last place, I'm gonna say CJ and Libya.
Oh, great minds think alike, Jess. Look at that. Blondes unite.
Awesome. Okay, so for me, I am going to say that the people who are going to do the roadblock are Mike. I'm going to say Jelani and Blair. And then I'll say CJ and Bergen as well. But hopefully there will be a roadblock next week so we can get some bonus points. So I think we're running a little bit out of time. So everyone who's watching...
Who's your first and last? Don't try to get out of the predictions.
Sorry. First place, Jelani and Jenny. Last place, CJ and Libby.
Oh, we're all together on that.
Yes. So before we leave, again, a big shout out to everyone who's watching live on YouTube right now. We went up another one, so 22 are watching right now.
Boy.
So all 22 of you, thank you. I see there's a lot of conversation going on the video too.
Any
46 comments.
Anyone for Justin?
Joseph Boza is Team Jess and Team Justin.
Oh!
Team Jess.
Joseph.
Team Jess.
Can you go?
Team Jess.
Sorry about your luck, James. Also, we only have 22 live watchers right now, but thank you to the hundreds and hundreds of you who watched our pre-show. We are really impressed with how many of you guys watched on YouTube, and we'll see. Remember, the challenge still stands. If any of our videos get to 10,000 views, you guys can have us do something so ridiculous for our AfterBuzz show, and we will do it. Last season, we did it. We did reach 10,000, so it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I'm loving the conversation. You guys are going to have to go read this. People are really getting in on Team James or Team Jessica or Team Justin.
Is there a Team Justin on there?
No, but we do have Adam. Adam Millwood is Team James and Team Jess.
Yeah!
Yay! And then we also have a Team James, Joseph Boza says that Justin actually has 7 points. So leave below why. So we know, because I might have miscalculated.
James, you're cheating. I love that people are choosing Jess, and I have more racers than she does. This makes no sense.
They like me better.
Who won last year?
Where can they find you on social media? You can
find me on social media at Justin J. Nichols. Also, if you go to AfterBuzz Twitter following page, they always talk about the shows that are going on. So you can find our handles on AfterBuzz's Twitter as well.
Right. And you guys can find me at DressJessXO.
And you can find me on Twitter at James Wallington, on Instagram at Mr. James Wally, and on YouTube at Where's Wallington. And stay tuned for next week. We'll be back on our normal time slot Mondays at 4 p.m. So check back.
Yeah.
And keep the conversation going on social media, because again, we just love to hear your input. And we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Bye guys.
Everybody.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.